So yeah, so I was talking about like how people end up there. It's like my one's like if there's it's kind of like maybe magical, like an antique, some sort of antique rib, right? Or or you just walk into a cave and like you know, there's some sort of pocket is there and portal that transports you there. Or if you like maybe fall asleep in a dream and you while dreaming of that place and you're there. So there's so I don't want to like confine it to just one element because I wanted to bring so many elements into the idea of isekai, into the transportation of it. Like walking into caves, maybe walking into a room at that specific time gets you there, right? Or you have an accident, you know, and you hit body switch, which is a lot. Sometimes that happens in isekai as well. Like the person from that world comes into this world, right? Um, but this is all kind of part of like the whole magic world of Plunge universe that I've created, right? So you get tie-ins, with other books, and so yeah. Anyway, so that in isekai would so it's the same thing here, mechanisms of transportation. The protagonist may be transported through reincarnation, magical summoning, or mysterious accidents, e.g. falling through a portal or dying and waking up in a new world. Setting, right? So this almost there, guys, with this one. Then we'll move on to the next one, to the main thing, right? And so setting, the new world may resemble a video game, right? Like one of my favorites, Overlord. I have, oh, she's over there. Yeah, from Overlord, the horned winged creature, demon creature. Man, I love Overlord. I can't get enough of it. I need to start reading the manga. I think that's what I should do. If I'm not getting enough of it, I should start reading the manga, right? Because manga's like a year ahead all the time, almost. So I'm all caught up on the anime, but so yeah. So setting the new world may resemble a video game, mythological realm, which is what I'm doing, or a completely alien environment. Like it could be like totally, totally different. Like it could be nothing to do with humans at all, right? Protagonist is protagonist protagonist. No. Okay, the lead person's role, right? Often involves a protagonist. I think it's the S after it that I couldn't get right. I was like, I just said it. Uh, Often involves adapting to the new world's culture challenges, typically gaining special powers, skills, or statuses. So with Zoolander and with our lead character, um, she has to learn skills like sword play, right? With fighting, because she's never had to do that in New Zealand, right? As a 16, 17-year-old, right? So she is having to be taught the language, right? The area that she lives in, all the types of people. And so she's kind of like has to learn that. And there's a lot of, time to spend her learning because, you know, the worst thing can be like, I mean, like that's the thing about isekai, has been thrust into a new world and go, oh, yeah, you're on your own. And I was like, well, how do I work the story so that like it's real, right? It's a real situation. Like like not like a real situation, but like what would happen if it happened to you? Would you, what would you need? What sort of resources you'd have to learn or skills you need to get because you're a stranger in a strange land, right? The book and the song by Iron Maiden, right? So one of my favorites, of course, is like I think Sword Art Online was the first one I started watching because that's when like it was like about 10 years ago, yeah, 2014, when I was opening my shop. And then when we opened a shop, people were talking about it. And one of the guys, like, had a sword and everything, dressed up in cosplay from it. And I didn't know nothing about it. I said, oh, yeah. So I watched like about one season of it, so I was keen, and I haven't watched it since then. But the one that I really love is ReZero, and the new season 3 is hard, man. Like I watched like one or two episodes, and I was like, not that it's hard, but emotionally hard because it involves children, right? I find watching, you know, children in certain situations like really hard to watch. Um, and even like not even children, but sometimes like gory stuff and stuff like gross stuff. Sometimes I just go, no, I'll just speed past that because I just don't want it in my head. So it's going to take me a while to return to that. But I'm watching Shangri-La. Shangri-La? Yeah, Shangri-La. It's like a dude with like a parrot head or chicken head on his thing, on his video game character who's goes into this world, right? And he plays trash games, and so like trash video games, and just like, so yeah, that's a cool one. Cool, fun, lots of action, seriousness, and comedy. So check that out if you're into anime or manga, right? And the other one was the other one I love is that time I got reincarnated as a slime. That's pretty cool. He's born as a slime master. Right? Seriously, how can you like take that seriously? Yet so well done, and it shows you why manga does so well. Like I was on Niobe's channel yesterday. I had a couple of meetings, and then after that, I was like on Niobe's channel, and I was like, I did a whole friggin' monologue. Sometimes I go off, like, as you know, uh, and about why mainstream comics are not reaching the reader. But basically, I find like manga does the job of the 90s and 80s that we as kids grew up watching, like that escapism where we could escape. Our family life might be terrible, but we can escape into, you know, some of the people that nowadays were proven to be bad, like the Cosby Show. Like he was like father of that generation, right? He was like the dad of, the TV dad for all us kids growing up at that time. Like Different Strokes, a dude that adopts all these kids alongside his daughter, right? Full House, you know, Charles in Charge. These were all family comedy drama sitcoms that we grew up in. And it was very necessary because, even now it's terrible, like most kids, but like everybody's got one of these now. So it's not that terrible, really, if you got a mobile phone that's worth a couple $100. Back then, you couldn't just go and watch escape into that. So TV was it. And so why, I did a write up on my Facebook about Delico, right? There's Delico's Nursery. It's about a whole bunch of dads, right, who are raising their kids together. Um, Delico's Nursery, right? So I'll play this, get this white screen off there, but and also get rid of that. And I did a whole write up why I felt like why manga is doing so well. You know, um, it's basically, hailing from the prestigious noble house of Delico, Delico is an elite member of a blood pact council with a promising future. See, when I went to watch it, and it was only the other night actually, I basically I wake up around about 12:30 in the afternoon. I get ready for this, then I go away and start working, clean up the house and all that, then go to sleep around about 6 a.m. in the morning. So I probably have sometimes I only have about 2 or 3 hours sleep, depending how much work I've got to get done, or with the comics and stuff, or if I'm writing, or if I'm just playing a visual novel game to chill out. So I was doing some flatting, and I decided to have Delico's Nursery playing because I'm like, why not? I heard about it. I mean, I didn't hear about it. Saw it come up. Didn't really think much about it. Didn't even know it was vampires. This is how much I knew about it. I was like, oh yeah, let's go. Maybe Delico's Nursery, what the hell? Okay, kids raise, look, okay. And so when I saw it, I was like the first episode, like crazy. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just keep playing. So 6 episodes in, I go, I need a break. And from my, drawing and stuff, let's go, let's write what I think about this, what I think about this show, right? And why I think it's needed. So if you guys know anything about like, about Japan right now, there's like a really, really low birth rate, right, in Japan. Like it's really bad. And you there's a lot, like, so what you find is that, like, with unlike comics, manga gets put into actually, let me put that link there for you guys to go check out later if you want, from IMDB, and then I'm going to go play a trailer from Delico, right? And then you can see the trailer for it, rather than me just waffling on about it. So this is Delico's Nursery. And somebody like did a fan voice of it. So this is not actually because all the trailers came out and just like subtitles. But let's play that.
Completing the mission while raising children, you say? What an absurd request. Kendichi Suemitsu. Very well. It piques my interest. Challenge accepted. However, there's one condition.
Condition? Raphael ate my snail. This is mine.
There's also AI voiceover.
What is work? This is awful.
They're cute when they're asleep. May I suggest fusion? Similarly, when they're awake, do you have any idea how tough child rearing is? You're not maybe because you will talk.
Your father will listen.
It's terrible, right?
It's more like a nursery than a task force. Now, we will grant this case's task force a name. We shall call it the Nursery.
It's like, that's really bad, but like with the voiceover, but I do appreciate the effort, right? Really, like, I mean, for me, like, that's why I played that other, that song before, right? With a fan made, fan made video to the song "Just Another Victim," right? With House of Pain, and of course, the actual song by Helmet, and the two of them getting together for the Judgment Night movie. That's what I forgot to say. So that song was from, at the start, was from Judgment Night movie, where they got metal and hip hop joined together for the soundtrack. So it was really cool. I actually watched that. Did I watch that live at this? Yeah, I think I actually watched that at movies when it came out. Yeah. So this is the actual Crunchyroll, official trailer with subtitles, but in Japanese, right? Language.
任務と育児の両立か。無茶を言ってくれる。いいだろう。その話、乗ってやろうではないか。ただし、条件がある。条件？うん。
お仕事？お仕事って何？
最悪だ。寝てると可愛いんだよね。起きている時も可愛いと思いたまえ。育児というものがどれほど大変か。
ウルにお父様を取られて一人ぼっちだ。
異議を申し立てる。
捜査本部というより子供部屋だな。
では、本件における捜査本部をそう名付けることにしましょう。それすなわち ナーサリーと。
So let me see if I can bring it, quickly find what I wrote about Delico's Nursery, right? And I posted this on an animated thing. Oh, it's too long. Right, so what it's about, like, this is a story about a vampire, Delico. Delico tasked with taking care of his 2 children after his dying wife's wishes, right? He then dedicates himself to raising his baby boy and the young baby, his youngest son, the baby, Raphael, right? And despite, right, because he's got a household because he's an elite, right? From a elite house of vampires, and he's got a whole castle mansion. He's got all these servants to do everything, but because his wife said take care of the kids, he decides to do it all on his own. And as you know, it takes a village to raise a child. When you come from a village, like this, I come from a village, so I understand that term very well. It's like just, that's why we have schools and stuff, right? It's not like just the parents can raise a child and teach everything, but like there's grandparents, there's auntie and uncles and cousins, that whole thing, extended family, like instilling, morals and ethics and actually in love, into the child. So he decides, well, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to like fulfill my wife's last wishes. And there is this element of like, and remember I mentioned like how the birth rate is plummeting, year by year in Japan. And it's, in a way, it's to do with modern culture and the whole, the feminist movement, that, you don't need a family, you don't need to have children, you don't need to be in relationships, you can just do it yourself. And so, and sadly, I've gotten to that point where, I might, when it comes to that sort of stuff, I'm past due date, right? Sadly. But so with that in mind, there are some very strong, not strong, but there's some works that's been coming out, over the decades or so, that centers around family. And this is why I feel like why manga is winning and will continue to win. Because these stories they build, they're not like, okay, I got to do this all in 3 episodes, 3 issues. Let's go blow up a world. Let's go save a world. Whereas this one is like, hey, I have a job, but also I have my wife's wishes to take care of my children, my 2 boys. And then I've got my work and my job to look after our race, the vampire race, and protect them from enemies within and without. In this case, within. And they follow him, and they chase him up. I think I still got that one open, right? Get rid of that. So they they go to him. He gets, hey, we've got this whole weird thing criminal thing going on, that people are hurting people, and other vampires, right? Some we think it's vampires hurting people because there's fang marks. I mean, hurting other vampires, and we need to find out who's doing it. Kind of reminds me of Templeton, right? There's all the, unlike in my comic book Templeton, like a soul collector, and he's in hell, but he's got a job to collect souls when from the world as they pass and allocated to hell. So he's got a job to do. He's tasked with doing that job, and then on his jobs, Templeton finds out there's so many bodies turning up with certain marks. And remember, this is before I even knew this, existed, because we've been working on Templeton since like about maybe 2010 is when I first started writing it. And we've been working on the art for since 3 years ago, like working on the whole, updating everything, turning into what it needs to be. And all the pencils are done. We're inking it. 6 pages got inked because my artist is, working full time. It's got a whole lot of work already to do. So I just let him work at his own pace. As long as we get this book out next year, right, Templeton? Anyway, so in this case, they find the marks on the people, and they realize, yes, vampires doing this. And the problem is, in this world, when a vampire fights another vampire, you can control them. And so he's like, yeah, I don't want that, because that's going to put my kids in danger. I have my kids to look after. I don't want to put myself in danger, because it's going to put me out there in danger, which will take me away from my kids. And I don't want my kids being unprotected and without me in their lives. So, so he's like, okay, I'm not doing it. Just goes home back to his kids. However, he doesn't tell them that's what's going on. He just tells them, "No, I can't do that." So they have a meeting, and they chase him up. They're like, one of his friends goes up and goes like, "Come on, we need you. You're the best of us." But he's like, "No, I don't." And he goes, "Well, if you're going to do it, well, you're going to have to do it here. And you're going to have to do it with my kids in the room, in the house, so I can keep an eye on them." Right? He's like totally overprotective. He's gone from like, hey, just his wife going to take care of the kids, to be going like, cotton wool, right? Cotton wool, put them in cotton wool, bubble wrap all around, protected, and basically wearing himself out. And he's, like I said, he's got a house full of servants, but he's like, I need to do this. And so the other thing, he goes, well, yeah, on one condition: you bring your kids as well, so that my kids can be playing with their kids, and that they can have fun. And and so so there's his forefathers, married, they have their own wives and whatever, and they are basically in a room surrounded by babies, twin girls, kids of all ages, minors, and they're losing it. And there's so much going on. It's not just that, but it's basically that little theme of protecting your child, fulfilling a promise of that relationship between men, like as fathers, right, and as friends, trying to work through this part that the weird thing is, like, in their society, they have nothing to do with their kids. So for them to see Dali, right, Delico, be so full on in his children's life is crazy to them. Like, seriously. Well, why don't you let your servants, why don't you let your housemaid look after the children? Why the hell are you wasting your time doing this? Come out here, work with me, work with us. Let's go find these criminals and bring them to justice. It's like, nah. So this is what I mean. Like, it's like a total, you can, just in that sentence, you can see like the random, like the belief system, why it's totally opposite to kind of like, in the sense, Western comic book thinking. Because like, if you're rich, and if you have money and you have servants, why do you have to look after your kids? You've got maids. Get a maid, get a servant to look after children, nurse them. This used to happen before. It happens even now, right? Most of the parents, like, sometimes they only see their kids when they get home. I don't remember when because my mom used to work at night, dad used to work in the daytime, and there was only like an element between after school, between when mom had to go and when dad arrived. Dad arrived around about 5:30. Mom was gone by 4:30. So between 3:30 and 4:30, we saw mom. So I was the one who was raising my sister and my little brother, baby brother at the time. So I was like the parent